Welcome, CommanderSmiths.
We are the CommanderSmiths.
I'm Adam Smith.
I'm Lowry Smith.
Don't worry.
We're cousins.
Hey, that one worked out pretty good this time.
Well, I know, right?
And
we're recording.
We're not hammered. We didn't do the double cast like we were going to. So we're not super ham-boned like we promised. So not yet.
Sorry.
I am drinking something that's like 11% alcohol right now. It's another one of those pumpkin ones. This is a coffee pumpkin ale.
Oh,
it's called Elysian.
Yeah.
What is it? Punkicino? What? Kid can't even read that.
I can't even see it. Yeah, that's a good point.
Kid can't even read.
I can't. It's too far away. I'm blind.
Closer.
I'm blind, man.
I'm
gonna knock over mine.
I think it's supposed to be like a punkicino. Punkicino? That is P-U-N-K.
Punkicino?
So it's like it's supposed to be like a frappuccino, but it's a punkicino.
Kid can't even read.
Look at P-U-N-K-U-C-C-I-N-O. Punkicino.
I don't care.
I'm drinking a punkicino.
You just said we aren't wasted, and you're definitely...
Look at that pumpkin. It has a coffee cup, and it's like inhaling the it's getting high off the coffee beans.
Well, I mean, you smell the coffee. Like, that's definitely a wake-up technique.
But it's going through its mouth. Look at that.
They don't have noses.
So
it doesn't. Like that one doesn't have
like
a
dog
nose.
Where it just tastes. Well, dogs have noses. That doesn't work.
Welcome to the CommanderSmiths. Well, I'm drinking a beer that's over a year old. I'm clearing out my beer cellar.
We'll so you don't have to move it when you move in a week or so. Episode 194, and what are we doing today? We're gonna kind of get to it pretty quick this time because we're still recording in the middle of the week, not a normal recording day, so it's kind of like a double cast. Kind of. But what are we doing today? We're doing some just the tips again. We're just all about the tips.
Just the tips.
Just the
tips. Ouch! Get off my hair. So we're going to talk about foreign cards, and neither of us really dabble in the foreign markets or anything, but might as well just talk about a little bit that we know, and then talk about how we would use them or not.
But also bringing up the like Secret Lair recent kind of foreign card stuff. So we're gonna kind of discuss that, and if your play group allows it, if all that stuff. So just gonna kind of talk about foreign cards, and maybe also being a budget way of getting a card. That is also an option we're going to talk about. So we also have a new Stump the Smith Savant because Larry got stumped this last week, and this week we got Jacuzzi. Jake is trying to stump you with a card here, and our new giveaway is going to be
what is the card?
Yavimaya Cradle of Growth, the full art of that bad boy. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully Lowry can guess this one. And then
just giving away cards like fucking candy.
Yeah. We're not making any money, Lowry, for our podcast anymore because you keep getting stumped.
We're handing out $50 worth of cards a month.
Good thing we're not breaking records of downloads anymore, so we don't have to give away that stuff anymore. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Thank God nobody's listening to us.
I think actually if we added in the YouTube downloads, it might be breaking, but because people are switching over, the number, it's not that much. We're still, our downloads for the podcast are way above that, but YouTube's been getting a lot of clicks lately. So, and we appreciate that because that is, once we hit that mile mark, like I mentioned before, we hit the mile mark of now being able to put up polls on there. Mm-hmm. Once we hit that mile mark of 1,000 subscribers, then we start getting paid from YouTube. So that's also why we promote that, saying that's the free way to support us. Anyways, really quick story. I had volleyball tonight.
Yeah.
We lost to a bunch of young fuckers.
Oh.
We didn't have our normal team. That's my only excuse. We normally play with only 2 dicks on the court and 4 vaginas. And one of our girls was gone, so we had 3 dicks, which is a normal. Normally you play 3 guys, 3 girls. Like that's for co-ed. But our team, we just flow together with 2 guys and 4 girls because our girls are pretty good. Oh, good for you. But we got manhandled by a team, and during the huddle, here's a dad moment coming out. So I'm like, in the third game, I'm like, guys, we're so close because we're getting to 20 points. We, got to get to 25 to win. I was like, we just need to clean it up. And I'm like, damn it, it's my dad part. We're not cleaning up. We just need to finish. Like, and then they're like, yeah, I was confused about the cleaning
I don't
up.
want a relationship. I just want to bang, bang, bang. I don't want to know.
So we just need to finish.
Got it. I was like, it says just random buttons.
Yeah, no, there's a purpose.
After that, I was like, yeah, I'm just used to yelling clean up all the time. So that's why it kind of came out. Anyways, it wasn't as good of a story as I thought. It was funnier when I told it on the court. Cool story, Hensel. Wait, where's the
I don't have
cool
that
story,
one.
bro? Okay. Don't you have a cool story, bro?
No, I just got good for you.
Cool story, bro.
There we go.
Kill him. Oh, no, I do.
Cool story, bro.
Right, so cool. Missed it.
Yeah, I did. I'm sorry.
All right. So
It was a good story.
that is pretty much it for just bullshit stuff. If you got anything else, you're getting ready to move to your new house. We're going to get better internets. We're going to get all this stuff is going to be amazing.
I mean, I'm hoping.
Your house is going to be amazing. So exciting. That's why we are recording now. So let's just get right to the episode. You can support the podcast by donating $1 or more to Patreon. If you donate $1, that gets you into the Discord, chatting with everybody, all that fun stuff. If you become the common level or higher, that's just $5 or more, you can get proxies from the Proxy of the Week stuff each month. And we have removed that only picking from that month and the month before. You can pick from any of the Proxy of the Week. If you get to the uncommon level, you can start getting foils instead of the non-foils, which are pretty fantastic. And at the $100 level of, what is it? What am I trying to say? Lifetime membership, we're going to start doing shout outs on the podcast. The free way to support the show is to jump on YouTube, subscribe there, like our videos, all that fun stuff. And you can watch videos like this podcast, see us doing all our stuff. This week I am recording. So that last week when I was like, hey, yeah, watch us do all this stuff when I wasn't recording. This week I am. But you can also check out Curated MTG, which is one of our bi-weekly, it's twice a week, bi-weekly, right? It's not taking off. I messed that up last week too. I'm good at this. It's like when we do the sign-offs and you're like, I don't know. what am I supposed to, how do I say this? Or even when we started the podcast and clapping, you were just staring at me going,
well, it kind of looked like you were frozen, so I was like, because you were just sitting there waiting for me to start the clap.
I was being quiet so I could figure out where the clap spot was.
That's appropriate.
It just sounds really bad.
Yep. STDs
I got
everywhere.
All right, so you can check out Curated MTG. The latest Curated MTG is probably, what are you going to post on Friday, which would be the Friday before, pick one of those. One of the ones. Do you remember any of them that we have in the hopper?
I don't think so. I don't remember.
All right, look at the one.
Got some good ones coming.
Whatever one I have posted on YouTube here, that is the one that Lowry did on Friday or Monday.
Well, how about we do Nightmare Shepherd? We can do that one.
Nightmare Shepherd? All right.
Yeah,
Nightmare Shepherd.
That's from Theros. It's one of the newer ones. I tend to try and stay away from it, but
that's been on my underrated cards also when we've done that before. It's a really good card.
Yeah, so I just, it's kind of like a fair, cheaper. I'm gonna be so fucked with
Curated
with Savant
Smith. Yeah,
I'm so in trouble right now.
It's awesome because when your creature dies, you can bring it back, exile it, you bring it back as the same
as
copy
a 1/1
as that creature,
token,
but it's a 1/1 instead. So if you have creatures with ETB effects, you have creatures that tap to do things, you still have that creature that does what it's doing. So that's fantastic, especially in Commander. You can the biggest thing on Curated MTG is you watch those, let the video start again and watch it again if you want, and then like it. That is the big thing there. Send comments on there as well. Other videos is Proxy of the Week. Do that Proxy Time live on Sundays, typically 7:30. And then what else do we got? I think that's it for now. We got other videos to come. Got the podcast. Got those too. And then the other way you can contact us. What?
I thought you had a list of things that you go. down. Yeah. Okay. All right.
But I don't like to
hot.
read it. I just like that's my outline. So if I get lost
Just a
with it,
prop.
I can look at it. I did have it
paper.
like down. Mondays is this, Tuesdays is this, Wednesdays, but we don't necessarily stay to that schedule. You do.
No,
Your
we
curateds
absolutely
have been consistent of when they come out Mondays and Fridays, but mine has been like all over the place. Anyways, check out Twitter. That is where you can also see when we post all these videos. We can do the polls. Oh, one more thing about YouTube, like I mentioned earlier, you can also check out the community tab, and that's where you can vote. You can continuously vote. If you haven't voted for any of the staple verses, that's where you can do it. I have a lot of energy right now.
And I'm assuming, yeah, this comes out the day after voting, November 2nd. You should have gone and voted. This comes out on November 3rd. And make sure you voted. But if you didn't, there's nothing you can do about it because this is not a real reminder. So it's a day late.
You like talking about like voting for what?
For elected offices across the United States.
So we're not talking about voting for our stuff.
No.
Okay.
No.
That's where I thought you were going.
There's like real voting for like important shit.
That whole part has been cut out now. No, I'm just kidding. So Twitter is where you can also vote. You can see all the other fun stuff that we do on there, and then also don't respond or say put messages out to us because nothing happens to Twitter. We just put it out there and it just sits there. Sits there.
No.
But you can direct message us there, or you can shoot us an email at CommanderSmiths@gmail.com. And that is also the best place to send me this. It's time for everyone's favorite game show, Stump the Smith Savant. All right, if you don't know how this game works, I am going to read the flavor text of a card, and Larry is going to try to guess the card. He will try to guess it by asking yes or no questions. Every yes, you will hear this.
Hello, boobies.
Every no, you'll hear this.
Wrong, 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 wrong.
Larry will get up to 3 clues to try to guess the card. He will only get 5 wrong guesses. If he gets 5 wrong guesses, our week's stumper, which this week is Jacuzzi Jake from the Discord,
Good luck.
they will win the card, which is Yavimaya Cradle of Growth. Now, every
Full
4
art.
weeks...
Or is it just Cradle of Growth or the full art?
Full art. Yes. Full art of Cradle of Growth. Each week that he does, each 4 weeks he does not. So every month that he does not get stumped, we will add a card to the ante. Also added last week, as you know, when Lowry got stumped, he could not get the name of the card, but he got everything else on the card. If Lowry can name the card type, the card cost, and what it does, he will get the initials as a bonus clue. So that's kind of like a little thing. If he can get all those and not get everything else, he'll get the initials of it. If he still can't get the card, then he is stumped as well. So that is the only rule change we have. All right, here we go. Oh, really quick. Every card that is suggested needs to be in 5,000 or more EDH rec decks. So if you're wondering when you're sending me a card suggestion on Discord or on email, check that first before you send it over. So, all right, here we go. All right. Without a connection of mind and body, magic is just an idea stuck in the head, a word on the tip of a tongue. Without a connection of mind and body, magic is just an idea stuck in the head, a word on the tip of a tongue. The tip of a tongue. Yep. A word on the tip of the tongue.
So, gut instinct, this feels like a blue card. Blue, red, or black. But blue probably stronger. It's feels like either a creature saying it or like an instant sorcery. But I think it's more creature. So that's gut instinct right there. I will take the first clue.
The art features a woman's head and fingers in pieces like a block puzzle. So it's not like a puzzle where it's all over the place. It's more like blocked. Boop, boop, boop. Everything's straight.
Like
edges.
Blocks. Okay, so that right there, look, thinking about it, like segment, it's being like put into segments, and it's the head, face, fingers that are blocks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What did I say? Art features a woman's head and fingers in pieces like a block puzzle.
Like a block puzzle. Yeah, and so it's talking about like the disconnect between mind and body, and
like the text
like a
says, without a
separation.
connection of the mind and body, magic is just an idea stuck in the head, a word on the tip of a tongue.
Yeah. Okay. So it's making me feel like it's stopping a spell from happening. And so it still feels very blue, and it feels very counter spell-ish-esque. So let's go with the second clue.
The text does something this color doesn't do very often, but does it in the worst way this color does things.
What the fuck?
Bad. ... Bad is what I put.
It's a white card. Can you repeat that? I just heard it does it in a bad way. And I was like, oh, red does that, or white does that real easy.
The text does something this card doesn't do often, but does it in the worst way this color does things. Bad.
It's bad, but it's in over 5,000 decks. But because it's in a color, or it's doing a thing, it's doing like probably a counterspell in white. Green doesn't have any. Black has like 1, 2, Withering Boon. There's less than 5. White has a handful, like Mana Tithe, but that's on a tithe. There's memory lapse. There's Lapse of Certainty, but memory lapse is blue. And if I'm thinking it's a counterspell, and that means it can't be blue. Red has a few. White has probably more. Okay, let's go with. Is this a white card?
Hello, boobies.
It was.
I was trying not to give it away as much as possible by just laughing off of camera so you couldn't see me. I might have given away too much in that clue. Text does something this color doesn't do very often, but it does it in the worst way this color does things. Bad. Oh, damn it. All right.
That's kind of funny. All right. And so
Just tried to drink my beer and not make any noise with that.
I still feel like it's a counterspell, mainly because of memory lapse with the puzzles, but there's like 3 or 4 different versions of that. And some of them are like puzzle pieces. And so, but this is white, obviously. So we have okay, is this card an instant?
Hello, boobies.
So still on the counterspell. That's too specific. That's a really bad. I'll take a third clue.
This card is in 5,500 EDH rec decks, so just above that threshold.
Just above, yeah.
Has only 2 total printings, with its original printing coming from Conflux.
Oh, okay, so it is Lapse of Certainty. Is it Lapse of Certainty?
Hello, boobies.
Good job.
Is the other printing? Is that a?
That's where.
Is that like a dual deck? Is that like a Johnnyverse
mystery booster?
Mystery booster? That ain't even fucking real.
I know. So that's
that
where
would've been awful.
I kind of pre-talked to you, like I didn't tell you about any of the cards. I was just like, okay, in general, when I am talking about a card, do you want the original printing or the most recent? And we kind of decided together that the original is probably the best way to do it. Yeah. Unless somebody gives me a certain card that's like, this is the version I want you to use.
Yeah.
This one wouldn't work because it has the same flavor text in both of them.
It's the same card.
Yeah,
it's the same card.
Good
and
job. You
oh.
said lapse of certainty earlier on. I was like, oh, wow. This is the first time I've heard you say like name cards and heard the actual answer in it. So when you say that, then I'm like, oh, he's going to get it. Because you said 3 cards that were white that did similar things.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, he just has to guess all 3 of these, and he has 5 wrong guesses. So he got it there pretty much. But yeah.
No,
man.
That makes sense. I mean, that was one of the pictures that came into my head when you said puzzle or like puzzle pieces.
So you remember it from Conflicts. You don't remember it from Mystery Booster, right? It isn't.
No,
that you
Mystery
saw it
Booster
recently.
doesn't even count. Yeah. Like if you look at Card Kingdom, they put the Mystery Boosters in like Conflux. That's where you find it. You can find it in the Mystery Booster set too, but they were in Conflux where you're searching through.
Yeah.
Like the Mystery Boosters and the list. That's all in the original sets because it's a fucking pain in the ass.
So my second clue didn't like give away too much. Text does something that this color doesn't do very often, which is counter spells, but it does it in the worst way. This color does things.
It was very lengthy all over the place. Like you could have probably cut out all that and just said,
but it was
bad. Fun. And I've been like, oh, I know what you're talking about.
It's white.
It's white.
But I mean, it's 3 casting costs. It counters a spell. And then if it's countered, it goes on top of the owner's library instead of the graveyard. And it's like, it's white's way of doing things. I'm surprised that it didn't do like you also got to counter one of your own spells and then sacrifice your kid and then that you can counter. Yeah.
That'd be a black card. Come on. Come on.
That was good. Good job, buddy. Hey, you're back on a roll. 1 in a row.
Cheers.
1 in a row.
I apologize, Jacuzzi.
Yeah. Well, give me another one, Jacuzzi. Get me some more. And like I said, you guys can submit any of these. If you're a part of the Discord, shoot me a message. I get you on the list and put you in the drawing, which is what I do on Proxy Time Live. If you're not a part of the Discord or a patron, email. Just send me an email. Larry doesn't check that unless I tell him, hey, this one's for you, blah, blah, blah. So send it there, and I will get your suggestions like the winner of last week. So that was the other thing. All right, so I need to get to, where's just the tips? I believe it is here.
Perhaps play a little game called Just the Tip. Just for a second, just to see how it feels. Or, ouch, ouch, you're on my hair.
All right, so what are we doing for our Just the Tips this week? We are just all about tips. I said it last week, and we just continue to give you guys
That's why people are listening to us more.
Yeah, because you guys just want tips, just only the tips. Well, you do also like the stumps, the tips, and the verses. I don't know.
It's the whole package.
We got games. We got stuff.
We got games.
All right. So what are we doing this week with just the tips? We were talking about what?
I think in general, we're just talking foreign cards.
And where did this idea come from?
I was talking with Guy.
There we go. Guy.
A couple weeks back.
There's a little shout out for you, Guy. Thank you, Guy.
And I don't remember everything we were talking about, so we might miss stuff because he likes it. He's into it. He has like a connection in Ireland.
Yeah.
And so he can get that kind of stuff.
He got his like COVID package like months and months.
I mean,
months
it was
after.
like, I want to say it was like 8 months later.
Yeah, it was months and months and months. He was like, hey, look at this, guys. I ordered this 8 months ago. Like, yeah.
It was a while. But still. So let's start out with how do we get foreign cards? Like you can get it. They're kind of rare, right?
Mm-hmm.
Except for Japanese boxes of War of the Spark. Those are going to be around forever.
Well, you also got to add in the Mystical Archives now from Strixhaven.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
Because those also have Japanese stuff.
And so, but
those sets, mainly, we talked about it earlier in the summer. Strixhaven basically made it so that TCG had to kind of recognize Japanese art stuff as a thing because they weren't doing it before. You had to they did have it, but you had to search for that. Now it's more of like when you search for that card, it has that version listed, whereas before you'd have to put that in.
Okay.
So
And so on TCG, I couldn't figure out how to find it in the advanced searches area, but you can, when you go to a specific card and on your computer off to the left and on your phone, you got to press the filter button, and then there's an area and it'll tell you what languages that are also on TCG beyond English. You can click on them all and they'll stay like that for all your other searches. And so that just kind of like opens up the options, and that's how I was able to find it. If you're able to figure it out on advanced searches, good for you.
eBay also has listings of that too. So you just type in whatever foreign language you're looking for.
Yeah, see, and that's kind of like less efficient. But I mean, I feel like you'd be able to type in foreign if you're looking for
you
a
could
specific
do that.
card, right?
Yeah, you definitely could do. You're saying for like eBay, type in foreign. Yeah, you could definitely write in foreign, but you could just put like when I list my my Japanese Jaces, I put them as Japanese. You know, like I probably should have, now that I think about it. I already sold them out. Oh, good for you. But I probably should have put Japanese for it. You were going for the button, and then you're just like, fuck it, he's already passed
We're beyond it.
Now you're just
I gotta
saying,
wait
good
for me.
or something else. Okay, so those are the ways you can get it. There are other sites or connections you can get with other people. I know Fast Finance talks about having arbitrage, and I think that's what Guy has talked about. Being able to have a person, and we do it. We have listeners that are all around the world. If we had a connection of somebody that could buy it for us, we send them the money. They send us a care package of all the stuff we order. That's another way you can do it. I'm not too familiar with how to do that. One thing that, I guess, I don't know how we want to formulate this at all. We just kind of do what we do with just everything, and we just talk.
Yep.
But the one thing, foreign cards really hasn't come up with us because none of us really play with it, because it's the same idea with proxies. When I make a proxy, and I say it in the videos, if I start covering what the text does, I'll only do that if it typically, I'm not saying 100% of the time I do this, but
sure,
I only do that if it's a card that's like well known, you know, so like most people should know what that card does. I can cover the text box. Or if I do, I make two different versions of it so that the problem was having when I was first making proxies or taking, ideas of proxies is if the people don't recognize the card on the battlefield and you're covering all the text, or if they're newer players, you're constantly having somebody grabbing your card, looking at him like, what does this do? And then looking at it, I can't really see what it does. So then they're pulling up their phone, and that just gets to be a pain in the ass.
It makes the game less efficient.
Yeah.
And so I would totally agree with you on that. Like, let's get into the usage part. Like, would I use all foreign cards? Fuck no.
Yeah.
No way. If it's a super common card or well-known, or a simple card, I think that's important. Yeah. Lightning Bolt makes sense. Basic lands or lands in general, I'm cool with. I actually really like lands with
those. I would. Okay. That is a good point. Lands. Perfect.
Yep.
Use all the basic land foreign cards you want, because we know that it's a basic land.
Yep. And because the game of Magic, words are very specific, and they have specific meanings. And if you don't know exactly what the card is doing in every interaction, you're going to have to look that shit up.
And that gets annoying.
Yep.
But when you're having to, and it's fine. It's nice that we have phones that do that, but you want to limit that as much as possible, unless it's like a really, for example, something that I didn't mention last week on the podcast, but Blood Chief Ascension. We've been playing wrong for years and years and years. This card, how we have always played it and how it seems like it's worded on the card, is that at the end of any turn, if a player lost 2 or more life, you get to put a counter on it. How we played it with Commander is if you're able to do 2 damage to every single person, at the end of that turn, you got a counter for each person you did it to.
Yeah.
Well, one of the people we were playing with was like, oh, no, that's not how it works. Looked it up, and one of the rulings, like the third ruling down, says, doesn't matter how many players got damaged, you still only get 1 counter. Now, it's not that specific on the card, but again, it's like on the card reading it, you would think, okay, you'd get a counter on every part of that, but that's kind of getting beside the point. Knowing if there's a lot going on the card, you definitely don't want it as a foreign.
Think about like textless cards with like, there's a textless cryptic command.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck were they thinking?
Yeah. What are your modes there? You're okay. Well, let's see if it's wait.
Okay,
No, don't do it.
it.
Let's see.
All
Okay,
right.
so wait. Tap all creatures, right?
No, it is tap all creatures of one player.
Yeah. Sorry. Tap.
No, that's very different though. That's part of it. Like
draw a
if
card.
you have a foreign card, and you said tap all creatures.
Yeah.
That's not real. That's not what's happening.
I meant tap a target player's creatures.
Yep.
Counter a spell, right?
Yep.
Draw a card.
Yes.
Or bounce a permanent? Or
I think
non-land
so.
permanent?
I don't know if it says non-land or not, but that matters.
See, exactly. Cryptic.
That matters.
And that's a card that we should know, Okay, cryptic command. Counter target spell, return target permanent. So it is permanent to owner's hand.
Okay.
Tap all creatures, your opponent. So it's not even that opponent. It's all opponents.
All opponents?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tap all creatures your opponents control. Draw a card. See? We should know what that card, but there it is.
There's 4 fucking modes.
Yeah.
Okay, so and like you can even have the discussion like there's textless damnation and Wrath of God. It's like destroy all creatures, they can't regenerate. And people like would forget they don't regenerate.
Right.
So like you're kind of running into those same things. Like you need to know specifically what is happening with your card.
Mm-hmm.
And being able to reference a card quickly going, no, this is what happens. Like we already have those discussions in English. Like, what the fuck is happening here? And so like that's where foreign cards in general, I would run into a problem beyond lands. Like, so that's where I'm at.
Yeah. I think I'm 100% in agreement with what you're saying there. I think.
Do you consider it? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say I think lands are a perfect spot for foreign stuff. Beyond the lands, the only reason I would think you would want to get foreign is one, if it's your thing, it's your what gets you happy, which is fine. That's
my buddy Matt.
Yep, your buddy
really
Matt
enjoys French and Italian, and
it's your kink. Like that's your kink. You like the
that's his thing.
So either that, or you can get them cheaper. You can get them cheaper and make a proxy of it. Like if you're just wanting for the collection to get it, and the card is like 30% cheaper to get it foreign compared to the English version, I get it. Do it. Go get it and then make a proxy.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say necessarily play with that. You want everybody else to know what it's doing. Like that, the one that you spec'd on earlier, which ended up being a really good spec, which was at the time, what's his name?
Yeah.
Rasputin? Was that
Rasputin
what it was?
Dreamweaver from Italian Legends. I think it's still a decent buy-in, even though it's dramatically more expensive than it was.
Because isn't it reserve list as well? That was a reserve list card.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was so much cheaper than the English version of that, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So, but you wanted Rasputin, you get that, you buy the foreign version, make a proxy of it. It's now in your collection. You own the card, blah, 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 blah. Totally get that. That makes sense to me. Putting, I guess it also depends on your play group. I don't know. Like, it's just hard. It's hard for me to justify.
Okay. Maybe in America, we only know like 4 different languages, which is like Midwestern, East Coast, Deep South, and West Coast. And it's just accents. Otherwise, we don't know shit.
Yeah.
Especially the further away you get from the... Yeah. Have you tried to talk with anybody out of the Midwest?
Yeah, that's a good point. Aren't we in the Midwest?
We are. I said outside of the Midwest.
I thought you said in the Midwest.
I can understand Canadians much better than...
Eh?
Yeah?
What was when we went to Canada? Was it A that they kept saying at the end, or was it?
Nah, those girls would say hey.
Hey. It wasn't even A. It was H-E-Y. Hey.
Yeah,
or
but
H-A-Y.
they were from California, so they're like Valley Girl Canadians.
Were they?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
I don't know why I remember it, just
How
because
do
it's
you
a really fucking funny story.
Yeah, it is. We met him at
Have we ever-
McDonald's to try to go through. We
We were walking through the drive-through and they denied us. And then they're in the parking lot going like, "Hey boys,
Yeah.
hey boys." We're like, "What?" And they're like, "Get in, we'll drive you through." And
So we
we
got
just
some,
like got into a packed car with a bunch of girls
and McChickens, and then we went to a park and sat on swings, and then next thing you know, we're going and seeing Pirates of the Caribbean, leaving the Smith family thing to go down to Calgary and watch watch a movie with these gals. And wait, that was foreign. That was all in Canada.
And so, and like, okay, so like an example, like cutting all that out, sure,
Yeah.
right? Please, all right.
Probably, at least naming my brother, maybe
Yeah.
his name and all that,
Yeah.
just bleeping it, turn it into a fart.
Yeah, just go. There we go.
Yeah. Cool
But
story, bro.
I remember we were going through bulk bins years ago, back when Shinder's, or not Shinder's, but the source was in its old location. 20-cent bulk, whatever, not even rares, just commons, uncommons. And I ran into Issaquah Scepter. It was only like $3. And I was going to get it for 20 cents. It was Japanese, beat the shit. And you're like, you're going to buy that? I was like, yeah, I don't own one of these. And just getting it for that kind of deal, because it's not desirable here in America, except for people that it's desirable. Like you were saying, like if it's your thing, if it's your kink, you love that shit.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't, like, I don't want it.
Yeah. Your market is much smaller.
Yep.
For those. So do I think one thing you had mentioned when we were talking before, is this a kind of pimpage thing? You know, is
it to you?
Not to me.
Would it be something that'd be cool to get like a foreign foil for your commander?
No, because I just turned it into a proxy.
You would just proxy it?
I think I like, so like the Godzilla lands, I like those, you know, but that's my full art thing, you know, like that. And then those are foreign, you know. I guess one other thing we had discussed is the Phyrexian secret layer that's coming out. Now that.
So why the fuck did we like that?
I don't know, because
it's the same
have the
for
originals
us.
of
We
all
can't
of them.
read any of it. Sure.
Right, but because those are just going in the collection, you aren't going to play with that
So
card.
it is
because
pimpage, though.
Yeah, that is that, but that's the Phyrexian. That's not even real. That's not even real language. Like,
you can't read it either way.
Yeah, it's
if we got the Phyrexians
and like
and
thing
in Japanese or Spanish or Chinese or whatever, it's all the same technically.
Yeah.
Like, so like, why does the Phyrexian Praetors in Phyrexian get us going?
And the Mystic Archive Japanese. I don't complete.
Why does
sets,
that matter?
And I completed that set. Like I was just like, yeah, I want to complete this because I want the Japanese and the English version of all these.
Sure.
I don't know. The Phyrexian ones though are different, I guess. But I wouldn't play with it because think of all of those. They all need. You need to know. You need the English version of those. Like even knowing that card. Like okay. Vorinclex. Let's see. Off the top of my head, your opponents when they tap land for mana, it stays tapped for an extra turn. Double the amount of mana tapped for any land that you tapped. Right? That's what it is. Right? 7/6.
Oh.
You don't like the beer you're drinking.
Yeah, it's awful. It's awful. I'm hoping it's just not mixing with my last beer.
My second one is a Night Owl pumpkin ale. So I'm getting my pumpkin in for Halloween stuff. I don't know. The Phyrexian ones are interesting. I think those are more of a collector's thing. That's a lot of what the secret layer stuff is. Anyways, I think that's why it's a little different is that those are for collectors. Those are for people trying to pimp out the collection, I guess. That's the pimpage.
I'm not drinking that. That was bad.
I don't really have much more on this. I don't know. Do you have? I think overall in my head, foreign cards are a good way if you're trying to get a really expensive card and you want to get it for cheaper. Great way to do that. But I would definitely play with a proxy. It would just be in my toolbox. I think they're great for pimpage of lands. If your play group likes all that stuff, then hey, that's what your that's your kink stuff there. We are on the kinks.
And I think we should specify, like, we're not trying to discourage this either.
No.
Like, I think probably the biggest benefit is trying to get cards cheaper.
Yes.
Like, I haven't played around with that a whole ton. But like I was saying, like, if I can get lands, I was checking it out. One of the triomes I was going for like $8. You could get it for like $6.50, but I didn't really, I'm not looking into it big time, so I don't remember what the shipping was, seeing if there was like that difference, because they can get tricky like that. So, but I did look through like Gaia's Cradle.
See, that would be one.
And
that would be one that I'd be like, okay, I can get that for much cheaper, but still really expensive, but saving myself a couple $100.
And they had like, I want to say it was a Japanese one for moderately played, in the range of English heavy played. There's not a ton of foreign on TCG, but there's something to check out and play around with and see what you can get out of it. So, and it's not something that I've done a whole ton of, because like how we're talking, like, it's not really desirable other than maybe the lands and finding something way cheaper. But how I've been doing to get like the expensive cards was Card Kingdom credit, trade in.
Yep.
And then I'm just not worrying about it. If I'm remembering right, Star City Games also has a decent collection of foreign cards in their inventory, and you don't have to do anything special for it. But they in general are more expensive.
Yeah.
So, but Card Kingdom is kind of more expensive nowadays too.
I will say that I think since War of the Spark, we had War of the Spark Japanese stuff. Now we have Mystical Archives Japanese stuff. I think they've been trying to introduce it a little bit more, I think it's becoming more common, especially the Japanese arts. Because I did spec on when Brewvat came out, I spec'd on Mill stuff. So that was the good for you moment. But I bought Jace in Japanese. Like, it was a different art. It was kind of like that anime version of it in foil. I ended up doubling up on selling those and everything on eBay, and just sold out of those. So I think the market is growing a little bit, but I almost feel like it's more of a, I don't know. I don't have any stats behind it, but it's the Japanese stuff, because I feel like Wizards is pushing that market more. You can hear Fast Finance. They talk about foreign cards a bunch, about Russian.
I feel like they like Russian.
Yeah. And I'm just like,
the Russians.
Every time they talk about that stuff, I tune out. I'm like, this has no, and that's just my preference though. That's also that part. It has no appeal for me at all. Like, it just,
like, I'll say I have a Hollowed Fountain, the blue-white fetch. I have that. I want to say royal or Russian foil version of that. It looks pretty good.
One last one, Glory. Like, that one has the Greek version,
the Hebrew.
So those are different though, because those are like special. Like, it isn't like that is an actual special edition of
Hebrew is special.
But that no other
English
card really got that. Like, that group didn't get
true.
that. It was just, and that's why that one's so much more expensive to get that one.
Do you think that's why the Phyrexian Praetors?
Yeah, I think
because
they fall
it's like
into that.
very specific to that.
Well, and you had the other Phyrexian dude. That's where it started. Really, was the one that came.
Elishnorn. Yeah, Judge promo.
Oh yeah, there was that. I wasn't even referencing that, but you're completely right. Yes, the Judge promo of that. But then there also is the one that came out in, whatchamacallit?
Jumpstart?
No, the block in the spring. My brain farting. Not Strixhaven, the one before that. Kaldheim.
Oh.
Vorinclex, the little monster dude.
Yeah, that was in.
You can get that one in
Phyrexian. Isn't there a Phyrexian swamp in Phyrexian from Jumpstart?
Yeah. Yep. There's that.
Okay. So that's the thing too.
That's actually in like the Secret Lair stuff too. Like, that's kind of being kicked in because they've been starting to give the jumpstart lands in as bonuses.
I've gotten the fucking garbage ones.
It's like, give me back those planeswalkers, stained glass planeswalkers you've been given for 2 years, because I don't want jumpstart lands. But anyways, okay.
Nope.
Was there anything else for foreign stuff? I mean, foreign it works if you want, but personally, I want to be able to see what's everything on the table. So if you're doing it to save you money, boom, that's good. Make a proxy of it so people know what's going on. If your group all loves playing foreign, hey, then you don't even need to listen to this part. Skip it.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that at the end.
Yeah. Now I'm going to rewind, play, and then skip this. Hey, if you're on YouTube, you can just click the chapters and it kicks you to the next chapter. So if you're like, hey,
True.
You can also tell on those, if you look on YouTube by the chapters, to see how long Stump the Smith Savant is. And if it's a really long one, that means Lowry's struggling. I even cut that last one down just because we had a winner.
So long.
All right. Is that about it? So we want to move on to our...
Yeah, I think we're good. I think we did not do that justice, but...
Well, what more did you want to say with it, though? Like,
I don't know, because I don't know what I don't know.
So what you're saying
is... That's okay.
What you're saying is we should have had, like, Guy on as our guest to talk about foreign cards, maybe?
It could have been... Well, now he's going to get all excited.
You could have had me, guys.
That's an option? Okay, whatever. That's fine.
Excuse me, I believe you have my stapler.
Fight!
Staple versus! All right.
Whenever that happens, it makes me feel like you're saying it, actually.
I normally mouth it, but I don't actually say it.
Well, that's probably part of it, too.
All right, so Staple versus. We are picking out a couple cards that we feel are staples, or maybe one's a staple, one's not. But we only have one card left in the deck to put in, and we are trying to decide which one to put in. We are changing things up. We started this last week, but we are going to do this more of a debate.
We're picking sides.
So we're going to pick sides instead of just trying to stay neutral. One of us we might both agree with the same one.
You won't know
following
our
week.
real answer until next
the following week. And maybe we even switch it up one of these times where, like, you actually like the other card and I actually like the other one, and we have to debate the ones that we don't want. That would be kind of interesting. Because the whole debate would just be like, you're right, Lowry. I agree with what you're saying. And then you're like, no,
you are a genius.
You are right. I haven't even said anything. All I've said is you're right. Well, you're right. You always win, buddy. All right. So this week, we don't know the results from last week's. I think early votes, we're early counting. These might go really late.
Yep. Do we have any witnesses?
It's going to do a
do we have
political...
do we have witnesses that can actually count?
There's some... No? We're still waiting on some mail-in votes.
Boy.
Okay, anyways, let's move on. So that one's still going for when we're recording this. But this week, what are we doing?
Topical. This is... It's literally November 3rd when this is coming out. This totally works.
Yeah.
Totally works from a year ago.
Yep, a year ago. All right. Don't drink your beer. What two are we working on today? What is our staple versus?
Well, I got the better card this week. Yeah, sorry. Bubble. I got the better card in Esper Sentinel.
What's the other card?
Obviously that's going to be better. And Adam has to say that Mystic Remora is better somehow.
All right. Why?
I don't know.
Why do you feel this brand new card that has just come out has barely even been tested in decks? Have you seen Esper Sentinel played yet?
I've played it, and it is amazing.
Have you really played it, or are you just making this up?
Yeah, it's in my Oscar deck. It's what basically beat your Magda deck, buddy.
I guess it was in there.
Yeah, it was. It's amazing. Okay, so it's 1 white. It's a 1/2 artifact creature. And whenever an opponent casts their first non-creature spell that turn, you get to draw a card unless they pay its power.
Which is
pay mana for its power.
1.
Yeah, but in Oscar, I can sacrifice an artifact with that on the stack.
You're talking one deck. We were talking about all these
and
decks.
put +2/+0 on it, and then they got to pay 3. I could do that. You can put an aura on it or an equipment on it to up its power.
You have to do some work to get its power almost as much as Mystic Remora, where you have to pay 4. So you got to pump that dude a little bit more. You got to pay 4, and it's not only the first, it's every non-creature spell that a player casts. Every. So the player can go, all right, I'm going to cast my Soul Ring, and then I'll tap 1, and then, my Soul Ring's out. And now I'm going to cast this with using my Soul Ring mana, and I cast this and this non-creature spell, and then boom, 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 boom. That's how you get around Esper Sentinel.
When do you even want to play Mystic Remora? You have to pay cumulative upkeep to it. You're going to have it around for maybe 2 turns, and then gone. It kills itself.
Hell no, dude.
It kills itself.
I've gotten this out so many early games where I put it out on turn 1 and somebody goes, all right, Soul Ring. All right, go ahead and draw. Tap into Sensei's top. All right, go draw another one.
It's not my fault they're playing wrong.
I think, yes, I will say the downfall is the cumulative upkeep, but it is worth the drawing, or at least hindering the table. That's a huge I have never seen anybody pay that 4 cost, is what I'm saying. I could see people paying the Esper Sentinel cost.
Sure. But how many times does Ristic Study get you to draw a card? And that's just 1. People don't like not doing stuff.
Yeah, but
they're more than willing. They're not going to slow down. They just want to burn through and have you, and they don't care if you draw cards, which is the wrong play. We've
talked about that before. But you have to, like with Mystic Remora, you basically, it's just drawing cards.
You're getting to draw a card. Yeah. And people should switch it up and just play a cheap creature if they can. But like, it's only going to be around for a few turns. Like, you're drawing cards, great, but you're not going to be doing anything because you're putting all that mana into the cumulative upkeep.
Nah. You just got your Soul Ring out, dude. You ramp. What are you talking about, Mr. Rampy? Mr. Rampy, you probably could keep this going the whole game. You'd be turn 10 and you're like, oh yeah, I got this 10.
Esper Sentinel has like tons of ways of protection because it's an artifact and a creature. You
also
can equip
a lot more removal.
That's true as well. But
I will give you, it is
reanimation,
tutorable.
Because
you have, and I'm helping you with your debate here. No, I'm just kidding. But no, I want to be honest with it. So Esper does have that artifact part of it and the being a creature thing. So there are 2 things that you can tutor it. But that's also
Trinket Mage goes and gets it. What goes and tutors for?
Also, the downfall is it also can be removed by artifact removal and by creature removal.
And
if people do not have enchantment removal as much as they should.
Yeah, but it kills itself.
Yeah, you just draw a ton of cards and you hinder everybody else from doing shit.
Esper Sentinel.
Just because you whisper sexily doesn't mean that you're gonna get this one, buddy.
Okay. Here's another aspect of in blue there are a ton of different options for draw.
We're only talking about these 2.
Yep. I'm just saying, like, it's good. It's a very good card, Mystic Remora.
The deck we are talking about is in white and blue.
White and blue?
Because you have one card that can go in. You can't do that argument because you're about to go, white is terrible at everything. So this is a really, yes, I agree with that. But we are at least in a white and blue deck. I agree with what you're saying there.
All right.
To be honest with you, and I am fighting for Mystic Remora.
You shouldn't, because we're fighting.
No, we're fighting for it. These are hard ones, though. It's very. I can see either side. I think when we I'll talk about that later. But I think when I discussed it, I think Mystic Remora I lean towards because it's a very, especially if you get this early. Think of it, early, mid, maybe late game. It gets a little wonky. Maybe. Esper gets wonky at late game. That 1 extra, unless you're able to pump it. If you have things, but I think Esper should go in every white deck as much as possible. I don't think it needs to be in a specific, I'm pumping Esper Sentinel to make you pay more. I think it just needs to be in every white deck.
There's Mystic Remora goes really well in my Muldrotha deck because then I just pay the cumulative upkeep once, then the next turn have it die, but bring it back with Muldrotha, and then I'm just never really paying a ton. So it's kind of cool there.
Because you just keep.
Great. Yeah, that's Elephant Grass. Does the same thing there. That's the only help I'm going to give you, though. There just isn't, it's cheap, but like there's not a ton of enchantment protection. There's not a ton of enchantment tutors.
There's not a lot of enchantment removal.
It removes itself.
And you're
only playing it for like 2 or 3 turns.
You're talking enchantment tutors. We don't play with those, you effer.
You can, but there's just not the options. You know what I mean?
There's but
two.
Yes. No,
there's like 2.
Right. I did.
Enlightened
I
tutor,
that.
idyllic tutor, and
it's easier to tutor up Esper Sentinel. But if you're going to tutor, why not tutor for something better than Esper Sentinel? Get an artifact that does something like
one of the best plays on the first couple of turns is to go and get
Sensei's top is the only reason that Trombley survived the games the other week because he was able to change his top.
Sensei's top is like, we already had this discussion. This is the best fucking card in the game.
So why are you gonna go get Esper Sentinel? You can go get fucking Sensei's top.
Well, it didn't make the list.
I kind of like this arguing back and forth thing. It's kind of fun, especially when it's these two. Like, this is a good one to start on because I could go either way with both of these. I like them both. They're really good. They're good for different things.
They're not supposed to know what you want until next week.
I didn't say which one I want. I'm Mystic Remora.
You're saying I can go both ways. You're buy cardual.
I'm by stapler.
Yeah. Bye. I don't know. Is there anything else? I should have made notes. There's a ton of cards that just naturally pump artifacts. I just think there's so much more support for artifacts. I think we know that. And enchantments has, I think, Mystic Remora is a CEDH all-star. And I think also Esper Sentinel is at this point. So like they're both there. But I think for me, like Esper Sentinel is just being a creature makes it a double threat, right? It's doing more than one thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a creature with utility. Mystic Remora is just a draw engine for a few turns.
Okay, I'll give you all that. Mystic Remora probably sticks around. When I've played it a lot actually. It, on average, I would say, it at least hits 3 turns. Probably between that 3 and 5 turn range, especially if you get it early on.
5?
But I will say is one of my biggest things with this is not only that they have to pay 4, but it's every non-creature spell. So if you're getting it early on and people are ramping and doing all that stuff, you're getting so many more draws. And if you're not, you are hindering the F out of them because they're going, well, I don't want them to draw. So now I'm just going to hold back my Soul Ring into my, other mana rock, into this, into that all these non-creature things. That's what the beginning turns are. And I'm not saying that's when you're getting this, but beginning, it's very effective. You get it mid-late game, this sucker could sit out there for a long time, and then people don't even realize what stuff is going on. That 4 extra is a lot, and it's never going to get paid. And the fact that it's multiple is my biggest thing, I think, is why I like Mystic Remora, is that they could cast multiples and you get multiple draws off of that.
I mean, you can still get multiple draws off the Esper Sentinel, though, too. Just not from that player.
Yes, I'm saying per
so
player.
If one person casts their Soul Ring and somebody casts a counterspell on it, you're still drawing probably 2 cards. Because early game, it's really hard to pay whatever the cost
extra
is. And then late game, I can see what you're saying, but people aren't casting as many spells.
Those are their game winners or their big setups. Normally, it isn't creatures that are your combo stuff.
But what I'm saying more of, like, in the first 3-4 turns, you're going ramp spell into draw spell or ramp spell into ramp spell. So they're casting multiple there. So I get where it's maybe better, like at drawing, but late game, they're very similar in my opinion. Cause like you're casting like creatures and haymakers. And so you're not doing ramp spell into draw spell anymore. You're doing like draw spell into actual action.
I'll have to say, now that we're kind of going into the type, like, and that's another thing we factor in too, I guess, is Esper Sentinel does best early game and best if there's creature manipulation, if you're able to pump its stuff, and being able to tutor it. It's easier to find, to get, to recur. Those are its pluses. Mystic Remora, I feel like any part of the game that comes out, and I've really only gotten it early, like that, which is probably the best place to get it. Best place to get it is fucking early. But I've never gotten it late or mid or late game, but I feel like those two phases it's better at than Esper in a way, because that 4 is a lot, I mean, they may have the mana for it, but that's a whole, like, that's a spell. That's a good spell, a 4 casting spell. That's like a moderate spell.
Let's look at this. Like, they're both 1 mana, 1 white or 1 blue, and they're both probably going to draw you a card. Let's just say 1. That value's not that bad right there. Just drawing you 1 card. More than likely, they're all going to draw you multiple cards. And if 1 draws you 6 and 1 draws you 4 or 3, let's say just in a round, and somehow you just drew it's probably 5 versus 3 on that first round.
My 5, your 3.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense because it's multiple spells. Yes. Well, because you could only do 3 total. Yeah. So
let's just like kind of go like, it's not necessarily worst case scenario, but that could happen. I can see pretty regularly on that first like go around at the beginning.
I've seen people hold back though. That first turn,
I hold back,
and people are like, I'm not having them draw.
Yep.
I'm gonna hold this shit back.
As long as you have that land, I hold back. So that like that's I think a little bit like it makes sense, but like drawing that many cards at the beginning of the game, I'm gonna lie out my ass here, not as good as it sounds.
The other thing I don't like at the beginning of the game is like ramping and getting lands out so I can play stuff. You get too much, and you just, like we talked about last week, you become the arch enemy. And you don't want to do that. If you play too many lands, you just become the arch enemy.
It's too good of a card. You should not have it in your deck. They're both too good. None of them make the cut.
Because one to start on, because I can see both ways, but it's fun because we both like both cards, and so it's just
all right. I'm good.
This is a good format. I like this.
Whatever. Right. Yeah. Yep. Glad we got here.
All right, guys.
Go and vote for
whoever
you think or whatever you think is going you would put in your deck.
Right. Again, voting is on Twitter. You can vote there. If you're part of the Discord, we have the voting there as well. And if you have subscribed to YouTube, you don't even have to subscribe, but if you're there, you might as well subscribe. Check out the community tab, and that's where you can vote for any of these. Actually, I think the votes just continue to go on those, so you can vote on old ones as well there. So check that out. We'll announce the winners of both next week because we didn't have the totals for the last one. So, all right. Well, that should do it for this week. We will check you guys next week.
Thanks for listening.
See ya.
Bye.
Saga.
I love boobs. I'm talking tatas. I love boobs. I'm bunkers for honkers. I love boobs. Thanks for the memories. I love boobs.